What you see before your eyes here is the new Samsung Glyde, an Americanized CDMA version of the F700 that was released on European networks last year. The Glyde incorporates both a touchscreen and a full QWERTY keyboard for that text entry. Let's take a spin around the phone and see what it offers. First thing you'll notice is the generously sized screen. It's nice and long, which gives you plenty of space to view content and interact with the phone. We have a home button here on the front screen, and all that does is basically take you home to the home screen that we were just looking at. On the left side of the phone, we see the hatch to Samsung's proprietary data and charging port. And one thing I'd like you to notice is the angle here that's been, the way the plastics have been formed. I'll show you why that's important in a minute. On the right side of the phone, we have the camera key, the volume toggle, and the power button. Also, this button doubles as a locking key. The action and feedback and travel on all these buttons is very good. Opening the phone, you have the full QWERTY keyboard. The keyboard is a little bit difficult to use, if you ask me, because it's recessed. You can see if we hold it flat, the buttons don't stick up. It's recessed below the plane here, so your thumbs definitely hit along here when you're typing on the bottom row. And but the one thing I want to point out is, because this surface here is angled, it makes getting at this top row of keys easier. I found that on previous or other slider phones that sometimes getting the top row of keys it can be difficult depending on how this piece of plastic here is shaped. The Glyde thankfully takes care of that problem. And on the back of the phone, you'll see the 2-megapixel camera, which has flash and autofocus. So that's a tour around the hardware. What I'm sure you're really interested, though, is taking a look at the touchscreen user interface. The Glyde's touchscreen UI is based on Croi, but has been heavily modified to work on Verizon. So obviously we have to unlock the key. Unlock the screen here with a touch of the key. You can see we have a bar along the bottom. Now you might say to yourself, man, those are just too darn small to touch. But really this is just one big button. When you touch that button, you get this little tiny shortcut menu, which gives you a quick status indicator of several of the different phone's features. You can see a little square here that's flashing at us. If you push that square, you'll get a shortcut menu. The shortcut menu, as you can see, is a list of applications that you might want to jump to quickly, such as the pictures or your music, and as well as composing text messages and things like that. Now what's really cool is this menu is customizable. Hitting the set key, you can see we can tap and move any of these different shortcuts around. So we'll replace that with the alarm clock. And when we go back, you can see that it's been moved. So that's a nice customization feature of the Glyde. We also have the dial pad. Hitting up here brings the standard dial pad that you can use to enter text or numbers. Tapping that, you'll see that we have a list of our recent calls, and we have some options here that we can choose to do while we looking at the calls. We can also scroll sideways back and forth to parse our calls between missed calls, received calls, and so on. Going back out, you can also access your contacts database. You can see there I am right there. So it's very easy to just add me to a phone call or to call me or to edit me. Lastly, the main menu in the Glyde is this central button up here. And you can see this is exactly the same menu that was developed for the LG Voyager. These are the basic Verizon wireless interface icons. So if we choose one of them, you'll see the little Croi cross there. And then basically it turns into Verizon's standard menu from here. And you can tab sideways through all the different menus by using these controls here. And of course the back button will take you back to the main menu. But what's really nice is that the Glyde has a full HTML browser, of course paired with EVDO speeds. So let's launch the browser. You can see it automatically reorients the screen to the landscape view. And here you have Verizon's deck. This is a touch-optimized version of the deck with a number of different buttons along the bottom. So the bottom line of buttons here are pretty self-explanatory. The only thing I don't like about them is that they eat up a little bit of screen real estate here. So as you'll see, we'll go to one of our favorites, and we'll go to Phone Scoop. It's fairly quick to load the page, but you're getting only a very narrow view. Now you can scroll around with your finger and take a look at different aspects of the web page. You can also use the volume button up here to zoom in or out. But even with the browser zoomed all the way out, you still can't view most web pages all the way across. But using the buttons is easy. You can scroll through this menu here, similar to the iPhone, but it's not quite perfect implementation of the touchscreen. This is a pretty long menu. I kind of wish that they had created this menu to be different icons so that you could just easily tap or choose from all of them without having to scroll. But be that as it may, it's still fairly usable. Adding bookmarks is a cinch, and of course accessing them when the buttons work is also a cinch. Going to one of our favorites, we'll just see how fast Google loads. And you can see that was pretty fast, and we have very little EVDO coverage here in my basement. And of course the menu and home screen reorients itself if you turn the phone sideways. You'll see our blinking box that takes us to the shortcuts menu has moved, and this has also moved over and added a fourth icon for messaging, and it's nicely placed right here where your thumbs are going to be able to get it. So there's the messaging department. So that's a nice thoughtful touch to include on the Glyde. Our biggest complaints about the phone are the hinky nature of the touchscreen. It's just not as fluid or as natural as the iPhone. You do have to, really seems like you have to push the screen and not just touch it in order to get it to work properly. But overall, the Glyde is a solid phone and will certainly make a lot of people happy with a touchscreen and QWERTY keyboard combined into one device.